Hello and welcome back to Phil's Drone Zone, and welcome to part 16 of Learning Piece by Piece, the complete beginner's guide to working in Motion 5. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can stay updated when future videos are uploaded. Also, if you are brand new to Motion, I would recommend you visit some of the earlier tutorials before attempting to replicate what we're doing here. Today we're going to continue our look at the behaviors in motion, and today we're going to be focusing on the link behavior. The idea above came from a video by Mark Spencer at Ripple Training, where he used the link behavior to animate infographics in the forms of graphs and pie charts, adding a numerical value to the animations, the object animations that he created. And I wondered if I could create a mileage counter on an animated map. And so this is the result, and it's not that difficult to do. But first, let's have a look at what the link behavior actually does. So as you can see on screen, I've got a red square and a blue circle, and I've animated the red square to fade out over the 5-second duration, and also to change color over that same duration. So I basically went to opacity and keyframed at the beginning on 100, and then at the end of 5 seconds keyframed it down to 0. I did the same with color, keyframed it at red at the beginning, and then keyframed the color to green at the end. And so I've done nothing to the blue circle, but we're going to add a simple move. So we'll go to basic motion move, and this is on the red square, so we'll move the red square over the time period up to there somewhere. So now I'll head forward 150 frames and press O on the keyboard to set its out point. And then we have our square moving to where we've told it to move. And we're going to do exactly the same for the blue circle. We're going to go to circle, add behavior, basic motion, move. And this time we're going to move it down to the bottom right hand corner of the screen, somewhere about there, you decide. And then we're going to do exactly the same, move forward 150 frames, and we're going to press O on the keyboard to set its out point. And now what we've got is both of them moving to the points that we told them to move. Now what we're going to do is we're going to link the behavior of the blue circle to the motion of the red square. So what we're going to do is go to the blue circle and go to behaviors, parameter, and add link behavior. Now we're going to use the square, obviously, to animate it, and we're going to go to our target parameter and use the move behavior position. And then we're going to go to behaviors, move position, and you'll see that nothing much really happens, just that it follows a path to where the red square finally ends up. But if we now change that to properties position, then what you'll find is that the path now is much more of a curved path, almost like it sees it and then decides to go and follow it. And there are a number of controls that will actually alter the path that it will take. You can look at the custom mix, and that will be how much of the behavior is affected, and also the scale, which will increase the distance between the values that you've linked. So let's reset those. And what we will do now is we'll animate it a different way. So we're going to go to the circle, and we're going to go to shape, fill color. We'll click on the little triangle, add parameter behavior, link, and you can immediately see then that the target parameter is already changed to fill color. We'll drag the original red rectangle into the well, and now you can see it's immediately taken on the properties of the original square or rectangle. Now we'll go to opacity and we'll click on the little triangle and click link, and then we will again add the red triangle, and immediately you'll see it's again fading out as per the red triangle. If we disable the original square, you'll now see that the circle still has the characteristics taken from the links we applied to the red triangle. So let's have a look at how we can use the link behavior to create that little mileage counter animation that you saw at the beginning. Okay, so you can see I've already set up the map, and I'm not going to run through that because it's quite time consuming, but I'll just show you briefly what I've done. I've got 5 groups there, as you can see: the map, places, plane group, numbers group, and I've added a camera which I've disabled for now, and I'll show you what we did with that later. And so if we look now firstly at the map, let's see what we did with the map. So we downloaded a map vector from the internet, royalty free, but I didn't like the colors, so I added a soft focus initially to set it back a little bit, and then I took away the colors by using colorize, and just took away all the colors by remapping the white to that very sort of like pale yellow color. And then I added a sepia just to make it a kind of different kind of color. I had a places group which I just put 2 pieces of text, the start point London and the end point Jakarta. And that was that in that group, and I positioned those where I needed them to be. Then in the plane group, again I downloaded a PNG of a top-down airplane, completely royalty free, and then I added some color wheels to it to highlight the blue of the aircraft, and I added a snap alignment to motion behavior and set that on the vertical axis. So basically all I did then was I animated on position the plane at the beginning, and then I went forward to 2 seconds before the end of the project, 390 frames, and positioned the plane where I wanted it to end. I had to change the offset and offset value to prevent it from spinning a little at the end. So that was very, very straightforward to do, just one simple animation. For the numbers group, I added, first of all, I went to the library, generators, text generators, and added numbers. Just grabbed it and dropped it into the group. And then moving on to the rectangle, now before that, let's go back to the numbers group, because I added in the text generator appearance, I just added a little drop shadow to raise it up off the map a little bit. And then what I did was I went to the I added a rectangle and created an outline, and then also added a drop shadow to that. And then the final piece of this group, I added the word miles and parked that outside the rectangle, and also added a little drop shadow to that one. And so that group was also finished. And so at the end of all that, basically the only thing that moves, that's animated, is the plane that goes from London to Jakarta quite nicely over the specified period of time. But that's not exactly what I wanted, because I want the total miles to be counted as the plane travels along its path. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use a link behavior to create that. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to zoom. I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit so I can see what is going on. Now, I'm going to use the link behavior to link the movement of the aircraft to the value of the numbers. So we're going to go to the numbers and find our number generator, and we're going to go to generator and find that little value. Now I could actually animate it just by creating 0 on the start value and by putting the total mileage in the end value. But there is a problem with that, because it will animate to the end of the project, and I want it to actually stop when the aircraft actually stops 2 seconds before. Now I could also trim it, but then I will lose the numbers after I've trimmed it for the last 2 seconds. So I'm going to use the link behavior to do it instead. So I'm going to disable animate, and we'll go to the numbers group and select the number generator. We'll now find this little value control, click on the arrow, and we will add a link behavior. Now we're going to use the plane, obviously, as the source, and so we'll drop the plane into the source. Now you'll see it's already set to the numbers value in the target parameter. Now we're going to go to properties, transform, position on X, and that's brought up a value immediately, which doesn't really seem to make much sense, but don't worry about that, because we're going to change that. And we're going to, if we look at it now, it kind of moves from -35 to +27. That's not really what I want it to do. So I need to look at the X offset and the scale. Remember, the scale increases the distance between the parameters. Let's set that to 10 for now. And then the X offset is a big number I'm looking at, 7,300 miles. So we'll set that to 800 and see what that does. Now what we can see is it's a bigger number, but the offset is a problem again. So I'm just going to drag down on the X offset. For some reason that's not working, so we'll reset that to 800, and now we'll just drag that back until we get to a value of 0, which is where we want the counting to start from. And there we are, we're at 0 now. And now let's have a look to see what we've actually got now at the moment with those 2 particular values. And it goes from 0 to 626, which is great because now we're getting a bigger number. Now, by my reckoning, to get to 7,200 and something miles, we're going to need to multiply that value, that scale, by 12. So if we take that and multiply by 12, that will become 120. So we'll just type in 120 into the scale box, and now something's happened, and now we've got 7,520. Well, we're almost there, so we'll just bring that down a few, maybe 116, and that is perfect. It's almost absolutely spot on. However, we've got a problem at the beginning, and we just need to make minor adjustments to the X offset, and let's make it 1.1, not quite, we'll just make it 670, and there you go, we're back to 0. Now let's have a look as it moves along. It's 7,268 miles, and that's pretty close to the distance between London and Jakarta, so we're quite happy with that. And when we play that back, we've achieved exactly what we wanted to achieve, the mileage counter as the plane moves along using a link behavior. Okay, so now what we need to do is to turn on the camera. And so what we did with the camera, if we, let's enable the camera, and what we did was we keyframed on the position and set the position to where we wanted the movement to start. We scaled into 50% to zoom in, and now we've got the we went forward to 390 to 2 seconds before the end of the project, and we keyframed the position, the end position of the aircraft. So now we've got the aircraft moving from one place to another. The only problem is that we lose the mileage counter. But that's not a big deal. We're going to solve that too with a link behavior. So we'll go to the group itself, the numbers group itself, and we'll go to behaviors, parameter, link behavior. Now this time I'm going to link the motion to the camera. So we're going to grab the camera, drop that into the well, and we're going to set the target parameter to transform position all, and we're going to set the source parameter to exactly the same position all. Now it's moved slightly, so I'm going to have to use these offsets. First of all, the Z offset to bring it forward, and then we're going to move it on the X offset to position it where I want it to be, and a little bit of movement on the Y offset. And now I've got it positioned where I want the mileage counter to be. So when I play that back now, I've got the plane moving and the miles stacking up there as we head across the map, and the counter is actually moving and staying in the position that I want it to stay in. And it's as simple as that. And using the link behavior, you can create all sorts of wonderful things. And that's it for this video. If you found it useful, then please give us a big thumbs up, because it all helps with the YouTube algorithm. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you'll be updated when we upload future videos in the series. And all that remains to be said now is see you in part 17.